What's going on? Today we're going to talk about what is the difference between solitude and loneliness. My name is Michael Barayev, and I was able to build a team of 150 plus sales guys in less than 2.5 years. And we did that with zero money invested. And now we have a solar company that's growing like crazy from coast to coast, like butter on toast. So let's talk about loneliness and solitude, right? So one of the things that I realized is that there's a lot of people that are afraid of either being around human beings, or they're either on the other side of the spectrum where they're afraid of being by themselves. And that's a big challenge for most people, right? Because they either don't know how to be in front of other people, crowds of people. You know, usually those are introverted people. They're kind of afraid of being around too many people. Or you have the other side of the spectrum where people are afraid of being alone and by themselves, right? And what I want you to understand is that being lonely is a very big difference than having solitude, right? And solitude is actually can benefit you in a lot of ways, right? And being lonely can actually hurt you in a lot of ways, right? So the feeling of loneliness and the feeling of solitude is completely different, spectrum. Solitude is actually an amazing, positive feeling, while loneliness is a very depressing and a kind of negative, kind of draining kind of energy, and it doesn't actually help you with becoming a better individual. And we're going to give you guys 7 differences, what the differences are between loneliness and solitude, and how we can help you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, become the next champion you need to become. Okay, so number 1. Right? Solitude, like I told you, is, and I'm going to read some of the notes that I actually took here. Solitude is the state of being alone without feeling lonely. Think about that. Solitude is the state of being alone without feeling lonely. And loneliness is the state of feeling isolated or disconnected from other people. If you really think about loneliness, right, you're actually disconnected. You're not connecting to anybody else. Like, one of the things that I learned is that God put us on this planet because He wants us to connect with other people. Relationships is the most important aspect of life, right? We have a family, husband, wife, children, right? We have relationships with our friends. We have relationships with our distant family members. Like, we have relationships at work. Like, why is, and I actually talked about this in another video, like, and I've learned this from other, successful people, that money is the most amazing tool on the planet because it literally puts 2 different people with different backgrounds on the same table to discuss certain things. Like, can you imagine me being friends with someone that has the opposing personality as me? Like, it's very difficult, right? But if we're doing business together, we have a common ground, and God wants us to do business together. So being lonely is not a good state of mind. It's not a good place to be, because being lonely is the act of being disconnected to other people. And we, deep down in our souls, we want to connect with other people. We want to be connected to other individuals and build those relationships, because that's what the essence of life is building those true bonds with relationships with other people. If you really think about it, like, being by yourself, in a lonely state of mind is not healthy. But being in a place of solitude can be very healthy. And we'll go over that in a second, right? So that's the big difference of loneliness and solitude. But let's go over the next thing, right? Solitude is a very peaceful and positive experience, while loneliness is typically negative and it's very distressing, right? It's very full with stress and anxiety because you feel like nobody cares about you. You're feeling a little bit down. You're mopey. You're gropey. And that's the difference between having solitude and loneliness. And you want to focus on how do you create more experiences with solitude. For example, like, what are some of the things that I do to keep myself healthy in a solitude place? I actually like to do things alone, like going to the gym. I like to go by myself, right? Here and there, I don't mind bumping, with a couple of friends or whatever, but I like to go to the gym by myself because it's between me and me. I look into the mirror, it's me versus myself. It's you versus you mentality, right? And I love doing that, especially in the morning time frames, like 7:30, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, before I start my day, before I start coming to the offices and start working. I like to spend that time alone. I usually don't like to talk to anyone in the morning. I usually don't like to say hello to anyone. I'm kind of like in my own zone, in my own space. And I don't feel lonely. I don't feel mopey. I don't feel depressed. I don't feel sad. I feel, it invigorates me. And by the way, just so you understand, I love being around people. I love hanging out with other people. I love being around people 24/7, but I still need that solitude time to invest into myself, to understand who am I, what am I about, what are the things that excite Michael Barayev, right, so to say. So it's very important to understand that solitude is a very healthy place to be in compared to loneliness. Now, the third thing, right, with solitude, you often choose, right, to use that time for reflection, for personal growth, for introspection, to get your mind clear, while as for loneliness, it's often involuntary. It's usually unwanted, and it's usually a sense of emptiness and isolation, right? So just what we talked about, like, you don't want to be in an environment where you're disconnecting yourself from other people by force. Like, that lonely feeling, what you're usually doing is pushing everyone away from you, right? And nobody wants to be around you when you're in that negative state of mind. right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to be alone, but if you're wanting to be alone for the wrong reasons, you could put yourself in a very deep, dark hole. And as a business owner, as a salesperson, as a leader, what you want to focus on is how do I get more time with solitude? Little time frames, whether it's on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, but you get that time to spend with yourself to get that introspection, to get that self-awareness. I realized so many positive things about myself because I was able to go through those quiet moments of understanding who I am, what I'm about. Going to the gym, reflecting on my weaknesses, reflecting on my strengths, reflecting on my past, thinking about my future, being introspective and analyzing what went right, what went wrong that day, what went right that week, and all those different, mentalities. So it's very important to understand that, you want to be in that solitude kind of space versus that loneliness, because in a loneliness space, man, you're killing yourself. You're literally licking your wounds and self-loathing and putting yourself through a dark, dark, dark circle, right? The next thing, number 4, solitude may involve engaging in solitary activities, like we just talked about, right? Reading, writing, a manifestation, meditation, going to the gym, spending time alone, hiking through the mountains, right? But loneliness may involve feelings of sadness, depression, anxiety, and those are like negative states of mind, which affects us as human beings. So understand this, as a business owner, stress kicks in all the time. You got positive things, negative things, slap here, slap there, make money, lose money, this, that, bing, bang, boom. At the end of the day, what you need to understand is that you need those solitude times, but there's specific activities that can help you progress in your life, right? Being by yourself in the bathroom crying about a situation that happened last week, I don't think that's going to help you. But sitting down and, looking over the mountains and kind of reflecting on what you should have done, what you could have done, spending that time writing, meditating, whatever those things may be, that can actually help you and elevate you to the next process, right? To the next level. Like I got a friend of mine, his name is Eric, and we're very close, and he loves to go to the mountains. He loves to go spend time with grass and animals and be away from the world because he needs that time to kind of get himself back to his equilibrium or even in a high peak state of mind. Right? And we all need that. Sometimes you just need to step away a little bit from all the chaos, the anxiety, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights to get yourself to that next level, right? Number 5, solitude does not necessarily involve a lack of social connection. As a person in solitude, you may have very, very strong relationships. Strong relationships come from solitude, right? If I'm able to spend time alone, I'm able to come back with full of energy. And you may think, well, being alone gives you less energy. No, because you're in a state of loneliness. But if you're in a state of solitude, it actually helps you get to that next level. In a state of loneliness, right, you involve a sense of disconnection from others, and you don't want to be, and even if, what's crazy? Even if you're surrounded by people, you can still feel lonely, right? And we've all felt that as a child, maybe as an adult, right? You can be around so many people, friends, family, people coming in the house, out of the house, but you still feel what? That empty feeling of loneliness, right? You don't want to feel that. Loneliness is a death spiral down to, it's going to actually get you to the lower levels of energy next to apathy and grief. And usually during those energy levels at those specific phases, what ends up happening is death comes nearby it, right? Suicide is real by it. If you really think about why most people kill themselves, it's not because they don't have family around them. You might ask them, why did you kill why? Like he had a family, he had people that loved him. It's not about that. You can be around people all day and still feel lonely. Right? And that's why it's very important that if you see someone in that lower state of mind, or if you're in that lower state of mind, number 1, you need to talk to someone and get some help. But number 2, also see someone that's in that stage and give them a hug. Talk to them. Don't let them kind of die in that phase because it's a very, very, very dangerous place to be in, okay? Number 6, solitude is a very temporary thing. It could be permanent, but most of the time it's temporary, and it depends on personal preference. Some people like it, some people don't. But when it comes to, loneliness, it can be a temporary, but it's usually a chronic state. It's usually a mentality. It's a mindset. It doesn't just come in, one day or 2 days. It kind of stays with you for a very long time. Usually people that are in those lower levels of energy are usually in that depressive state of mind. That's usually what's going on in their mindset all the time. They're very lonely. They think that everyone is against them. They feel like the world is against them. They can't even feel that energy get in them. They can't even get up and go win in life because they're so worried and so hurt by feeling that empty feeling, right? And listen, we've all felt that. It's very important to not get into that stage, especially as a business owner, because think about it. You're a business owner. You're a champion. You're that 1%er. You can look at the world and say, damn, 99% of people are not at this level. And I'm sitting here pounding it and pounding it and pounding it. I don't have the success that I want. I don't have the results that I want. I'm getting crushed by all these different things in business. And you may feel a little bit lonely, but you need to learn to not be lonely, create some solitude in your life. Because like I said, being in those lonely states of mind when you're building your business is very destructive. It's a repetitive cycle that keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and it spirals downhill. What you want to do is put yourself in that solitude level where you can sit there and reflect and say, you know what? I need to change some stuff. You know what? The future is going to be brighter. The future's gonna get 10 times brighter. Yes, there's challenges. Yes, there's struggles. Yes, there's, pushback. But at the end of the day, I will not stop. I will not quit. That's the mentality you need to have, right? Next, the last thing. Solitude is gonna lead you to increased creativity, more self-awareness, and increased productivity. I've done it many times. It helped me tremendously. Like I told you, I do this on a daily basis. Listen, I cannot be around my fiance 24/7. I cannot be around my friends 24/7. I need that 1 hour, 2 hour break on a daily basis to spend time with myself, to get to know myself better. My relationship between me and me is like I'm my own best friend. Right? I have best friends as well in life, but I need to know myself better than anybody that knows me. I know my secrets. I know my deep, dark thoughts. I know my positive thoughts. I know everything about myself. I've been through everything in my life. I need to learn to love myself. And once you could do that, now you're able to help and impact other people, because you cannot change the world and change other people's lives if you do not figure yourself out. Because once you figure yourself out, everything becomes easier around you. Because life is not complicated. Life, as a matter of fact, is very easy. It's just that you have to become a better version of yourself so that you can actually achieve those greatnesses and beat those challenges, because you're much better of a person. Because you're the 2.0 version trying to, fight a level 1 problem. But if you're level 99 and your problems are, 275, guess what's going to happen? You're going to feel defeated. So what I need you to do is focus on being level 999, so all the levels below that, all those bullshit problems are not affecting you anymore, right? The opposite of your solitude, the opposite of that is it leads you to a decreased state of mind in terms of your mental problems, right? You have chronic issues, self-esteem issues, and on top of that, your physical health gets destroyed by that. Your physical health gets eaten up by loneliness. It's a that's one of the biggest diseases out there, I think. I don't think cancer is a big problem. I don't think, all those are big problems. But the biggest problem, in my opinion, is mental health. If you don't take care of your mental health, God forbid, I've seen people that go all the way to the mountain and they start crashing down, right? We don't want to see that happen to you. So what you need to do is learn to have solitude in your life, and now loneliness. And like I said, if you have a problem with that, talk to someone. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. I had that problem as a kid. I felt really lonely. I felt like I was the only one. When I was in foster care going through those challenges, I thought I was the only one. I thought my problems were very, very huge, gigantic, and I had to overcome those challenges. So for those of you that are going through that challenge, don't let that defeat you. Learn to have a little bit of solitude in your life and learn to be a better individual. And I appreciate you guys like always. If you guys have not subscribed yet to the channel and you love this kind of content, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next video.